this Dell machine, we had a Intel Core 2 Quad Q6600 as our processor, and we tested it using Cinebench R15 and by using CPU-Z. As a reference for these tests, we used my Surface Pro 3 as a guide. The Surface Pro 3 has an SSD, more memory, and it's DDR3 instead of DDR2, and a better CPU. The Surface Pro 3 has an Intel Core i5 4300U, and it's a dual-core processor. In Cinebench, the Intel Core 2 Quad Q6600 scored 240 in Cinebench, and the Surface Pro 3 scored 103. In CPU Bench, we did the single-thread and a multi-thread test. The Surface Pro 3 got 2128, and the bench score for single thread, and the Intel Core 2 Quad Q6600 scored 760. A clear win for the Surface Pro 3. In the multi-threaded test, the Surface Pro 3 scored 2574, while the Intel Core 2 Quad Q6600 scored 2566. Very close, but the Core 2 Quad's still behind. Remove your hard drive from the hard drive tray or bracket. Unplug the SATA data and SATA power connectors. Remove the SATA data connector from the CD drive and also remove the power cable. Remove the CD drive from the system. Remove the 24-pin connector from the motherboard. Remove the 4-pin connector from the motherboard. Unscrew the power supply from the mounting bracket. Remove the power supply from the case. Remove the ribbon cable from the motherboard. Remove the SATA connectors from the motherboard. Remove the RAM from your system by pressing down on the two tabs on the side of the DIMM slots. Unscrew the CPU cooler from the motherboard. Remove the CPU cooler from your device. Remove your CPU from your device by lifting up the retention arm and pulling back the latch. When removing your CPU, be careful not to touch the back contact point. Remove the CPU cooler bracket. Remove the CPU fan header from the motherboard. Unscrew the motherboard from the case. Carefully remove the motherboard from your case. When cleaning your personal computer, use compressed air in a can rather than air from an actual compressor, as this air is probably a bit too strong for the componentry in the computer, and you might damage your fan if you overspin it. To secure the motherboard, screw the motherboard into the standoffs. Plug in the test fan headers now to avoid clutter later.
Put the ribbon cable into the motherboard.
Place your power supply in your case and put it up against the mounting bracket. Grab the screws and secure the power supply.
Inserting SATA cables into the motherboard.
Insert the 24-pin connector into the motherboard.
Put the 4-pin connector into the motherboard. Lift up the latch on the CPU hatch on the motherboard. Gently place the CPU into the motherboard and ensure that the pins line up. Carefully lower the CPU cover and fasten the tension arm. Push down on the sides of the DIMM slots to make sure that the slot is open. Line up the notch on your RAM sticks to the notch on the motherboard. Push down firmly on each side of the RAM stick until you hear it click in. Each CPU cooler will come with a different mounting method. This CPU cooler required us to screw in the base of it into the motherboard. When applying thermal paste, be careful with how much you apply, because not applying enough will cause overheating and may cause your system to shut itself down during a process, and putting too much on could make the paste expand off the edges and potentially go into the motherboard. Place the CPU cooler onto the CPU and fasten it down.
Place the CD drive into the case.
Connect the power connector to the CD drive. Connect the SATA data connector to the CD drive.
Connect the hard drive fan to the motherboard.
Place the hard drive in the hard drive bay. Connect the SATA data and the SATA power cable to the hard drive. In Cinebench R15, we only saw a 1 point increase. I was feeling quite skeptical about how much benefit it was going to make at this stage, but after seeing the amount of dust that came out of the heatsink, I still had some hope. In the CPU-Z bench test, we got a improvement of 31 in the single-threaded score. In the multi-threaded test, we gained 30 points, going up from 2,566 to 2,596.